is. That's it.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Shabbat shalom.
Go ahead. 2, 3, 1. All right. Well, the Almighty be praised. At this time, we want to prepare ourselves for our class today. It's good to see you here. It's been a few weeks since we have taught. Now that the Moedim has passed, we are going to resume with classes in our Hebrew language course. I do want to say welcome to those of you who are joining with us by live stream to our Hebrew language course. We are covering a lesson today entitled Translating Hebrew Words. The first 5 primarily have been at the origin and history of the Hebrew language. We've acquainted ourselves with the ancient Hebrew lettering system, and also we've learned about the manner in which the letters are pronounced. We dealt with the pronunciation and the division of consonants, vowels, and grammar. We've also looked at the definite article before a word. We've looked at nouns and adjectives, those things that helps us to get a better handle on the grammar. And since we've covered those items, what I like to do today is to have us to spend a little bit more time in translating Hebrew words. Now, we've touched on a couple things with respect to translating Hebrew words. However, today I want to just to hit some things that will help us to know how to approach translating Hebrew words. So before we get into the lesson, let's have a word of prayer, and then we will get into our lesson for today. Abba Yah, we bless you and thank you for this opportunity to provide this class today, covering lesson 6 on translating Hebrew words. I ask for your wisdom and your guidance so that each of the students will be able to have a firm grasp on the ideas and the concept of how to translate a Hebrew word. We do thank you for this opportunity. Let it be one of edification and learning for each one in attendance, and we will be careful to give your name praise. In the mighty name of Yahshua, our Redeemer. Amen.
Amen.
All right. Now, for those who need outlines, we always have the outlines in the first row. And the outline today is going to be looking at some bullet points that I'm going to talk about briefly, and then we're going to get into the translation of some Hebrew words. What each of you will need, for those of you who are in the class, and also for those who may be joining with us by live stream, if you do not have a Hebrew lettering system where it gives you all of the Hebrew letters, and I just want to be able to show you what that looks like with us by live stream. You may not be able to see it well, but this particular sheet right here, it has the ancient Hebrew letters. It also has the modern Hebrew letters, Greek and Latin also. And this particular sheet, if you want to look it up now and be able to obtain it now, you can go to a site that is called www.ancient-hebrew.org. www.ancient-hebrew.org. And you can look for this particular sheet, the ancient Hebrew lettering chart. That's one of the sites that I use to obtain some of my information with respect to at least this chart and another chart that I have. But the reason why I made mention of that, and this is in particular for those who may be joining with us by live stream, is so that you can use it as a reference in knowing and learning the meaning of each letter. Because this is important as we dive into learning how to translate Hebrew words. And so for those of you who are in attendance in the class, if you don't have all of your notes with you, it's important that you have all of your notes with you when you come to class so that you can have them available as a reference. Because when we do, you're going to need this. This here is necessary because this is your reference. It has here all of the Hebrew letters, and also it has the meaning of each Hebrew letter. And so you're going to need that. So when we get into the translating of each word, you can look over here at the reference, obtain the meaning of that letter, and then put it together. So that's important, all right? So I just want to make mention, all the students in the class, you need to have this. And if you don't have this, let me know at the end of the class. We'll get this for you so that you can have it. And also, we may, now that I'm thinking about it, we may have some extra copies of this over in the shelf with all of the resource information. If you look over here, there's a shelf we have where we have extra materials and resources and notes from our previous lessons that we've covered. So if there's one there, that's it. Right there, you can go ahead and use that over there. We like to always have some extras available, but you definitely need this as we get into translating the words. Now, what I want to speak about is that we must always recognize that each Hebrew letter has a meaning. Each Hebrew letter has a meaning. So in Hebrew, which is different from Greek or Latin, the letter itself has a meaning. So we are not just putting letters together to formulate a word and then go to a dictionary to obtain the meaning of the word. This type of obtaining of a definition comes from the Western languages. All right? In Western languages, in particular, the language of the Greeks and the language of the Romans, the language in and of itself is an abstract language. Hebrew, however, is a concrete language. And so with Hebrew, the language is different. The language is rooted in actions. So we begin by recognizing that each letter in Hebrew has a meaning. And the meaning of that Hebrew letter is based upon the function of the letter. All right? The letter in the Hebrew is a picture. So that picture that letter represents will give us an idea of its function, what it does. Does that make sense to everybody? For example, if I gave you a picture of a hammer and you saw the hammer, in your mind, you will begin to generate certain ways in which you use the hammer, right? Because that hammer has a function, it has a use. There is something that it does, right? So one of the things that we know full well, if we look at a hammer, is that we know that the hammer is used to nail things. It's used to hit things. That's what we know about a hammer. So we began to develop a meaning with reference to the hammer. And certain words that are associated with the hammer, give me a word that's associated with the hammer that comes to your mind.
Nail.
Okay, so how do you nail something?
With the hammer.
How do you
beat it?
Beat it. Okay, so the word beat is associated with the hammer, right?
Yeah.
What's another word that may be associated with the hammer that someone may use?
How about you're hanging up the picture? That's usually
Okay, so to hang something, okay, it has to use it in all right, that's possible. What about to smash?
Yes.
Okay, so we get certain words that gives us an idea based upon what the hammer does, right? With the Hebrew letters, it's the same way. Whatever that picture is, we begin to look at the function that Hebrew letter, and we begin to learn what is its action, what does it do. And so there could be a couple of different words that are associated with what that letter does. Now, another thing we need to know is that we need to find the meaning of each letter in the Hebrew word. So when we have a Hebrew word, which consists of roughly 2 letters or more, we have to find the meaning of each one of those letters. And we put together the meanings of the letters to then come up with a general idea of what that word means, what it represents. So the third point is that we construct the concept of the Hebrew word from the meanings of each letter. So after we have found the meanings of each of the letters in the Hebrew word, we then construct or we develop the concept the word means based upon the meanings of the letters. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
Everybody? This is the basic process of translating. It is a simple process, And it's an ancient process. This is one of the ways in which communication and conveying of thoughts and ideas were done. Point 4 is that each Hebrew word can have different shades of meaning that relates to its root word or word root. Now, a word root is basically this. What you're going to discover is that when you look at Hebrew words, the majority of Hebrew words have 3-letter roots. In other words, most Hebrew words will start with 3 letters, the same letters, and that Hebrew word root is the foundational meaning of the word and how it may be used in other contexts. Now, that 3-letter root can have another letter attached to it. And we can definitely see that in cases where if you take a word that's in the singular sense and then you want it to be in the plural sense. How many of you remember when we dealt with plurals? We dealt with plural masculine and plural feminine. If you take a word that's in the singular, when you want to make it plural, you have to add 2 letters to it. If it's a masculine plural, you add the yod mem at the end. If it's a feminine plural, you add what is regarded as the ot. You add the wav and the tau at the end. So when you do that to a 3-letter root, then you have now a 5-letter word. All right, that's one of the ways in which you have a 3-letter root that has now taken on 2 extra letters. But with these Hebrew words that have the similar word root, they can have different shades of meaning depending on the context. Okay? Does that make sense to everybody? All right, so it's important to understand that. And the reason why is because there may be certain words in Hebrew that do not have the identical meaning in every place where it's found. Does that make sense? Now, I want to give you an example, just so that you can kind of understand what we mean by that. Say you have a word and the basic idea of the Hebrew word is hand to mouth. Okay? Now a word that carries with the idea of hand to mouth is a word that would have the yod in it, because the yod has the meaning of the hand. The yod is a picture of the hand and the arm. And the mouth is represented by the kuf. The letter kuf is, no, I'm sorry, the pei, forgive me. The pei. The pei is the mouth. Kuf is sun on the horizon. No, the pei is the mouth. So if you have a word that gives you the idea of hand to mouth, this word will have in it the yod and the pei. Now, this idea of hand to mouth, what can be seen by the idea of hand to mouth? Someone tell me.
Feeding.
Good. Feeding is one particular meaning that you can get from the idea of hand to mouth. Tell me another that comes to your mind. Hand to mouth.
Drinking something.
Okay, that will be along the same lines of nourishing. All right, that's the whole idea of nourishing, feeding, drinking. That would be like nourishment. But there's something else.
Quiet.
Okay, to cover the mouth.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically it would be maybe yeah, it could be depending on the context of how it's used.
Yeah.
There probably would be a little bit more explanation that will be needed in developing that. But another instance where you see hand to mouth is slapping,
Oh.
hitting. Okay?
Yeah.
Now in Hebrew, the word strike, which is to hit or slap, the idea of that is rooted in the Hebrew word that carries with it the idea of hand to mouth. But also, just as you mentioned about the same word for is also reflected in the word that literally means hand to mouth. Both are two different, now they both related to the concept of the hand to the mouth, but they mean different things. Because in one instance, you can feed yourself and nourish yourself, or feed someone and nourish them. But in the other instance, the meaning can be used in a manner that is destructive to the other person. Now, the same Hebrew word, but the shade of meaning is different because of the application. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. So if you were to look in a Strong's Exalted Concordance and you were to look up a Hebrew word and then it gave you a simple definition, okay? Because much of the time, for the person who is not familiar with how to translate Hebrew words, and they're dependent upon the scholar and what the scholar has produced in using their scholarship as a means of deriving a meaning, what you're only getting is something that is a partial meaning, but not a complete meaning of that Hebrew word. And in most instances, scholars are not going to go through all of what I've gone through with you, because their purpose is not to teach you how to translate, it's just to give you information as to what the basic idea of what the Hebrew word means, and their particular understanding that they have produced from their own study. All right. I found a number of times where I have looked at Strong's Exalted Concordance for the meaning of certain words, and it has not been as exhaustive as I would have hoped for it to be. All right. And that's just simply because you've got to understand how to translate the Hebrew word for yourself to then understand the meaning at its core root. All right. If I see a word in the translation, I see a translated word and it says, and they struck, and the man was struck by such and such. Okay. And then I go look up that word in the Hebrew. All right. I'm going to see the word in the Hebrew and think, well, that particular word only means to strike or to hit because of what I have just looked up. You understand? So once I go and I look at the word and I translate it for myself, because I now understand that each Hebrew letter has a meaning and I put the meanings of each Hebrew letter together in the word, now I have the definition of that word. I have a core root definition of that word, but that base definition can have different shades of meaning. All right? And this is important when we're dealing with translating Hebrew words and knowing how to use them in the proper context. Okay? Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah.
Okay? So this is something that you want to pay attention to. All right? So what we want to do at this point, we want to translate some words. So I chose not to pull up the screen today. I have my whiteboard, and I'm going to write down each word that we're going to look at. Now, you all have the words on your outlines. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put the word up here, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the paleo letters for the word we're going to use. So the first letter that we have here, it is Ab. Everybody remember this? Okay. Here we have the Aleph. This is ox head. This is the bait. This is in the paleo Hebrew. Okay, it's not the block script. You have the block script on your outlines. So we do that because we want you to get familiar with the block script, but also we want you to be familiar with the paleo as well. Most of the time when you read Hebrew texts, you're going to be reading it in the block script. So you want to get used to it. But you also want to know this as well, because the paleo Hebrew script, what it does, it gives you the actual picture, and you're able to generate the meaning. All right. This looks like an ox head. All right. So it's the ox head. Here is the bait. Ox head, this is the Aleph, bait, Ah, and the Ba. Somebody tell me what this word says.
Bait.
Ah, and Ba.
Ba.
Abba.
Abba.
It's Ab.
Abba.
Abba.
Ab.
Ab.
Ab. All right.
That's Ab.
It's
Okay.
Ab, yes.
Okay.
The name of the letter is Aleph, but you don't say Aleph when you pronounce it. It's just like the letter A. All right. A has a ah sound.
Like a short vowel.
Aleph has Aleph has a ah sound. The bait has a b sound. All right. So again, how do you say this?
Abba.
Ab. Ab. Like A and B.
Ab.
Ab. All right. So this word Ab, it has been translated in English to be father. All right? To be father. That's what it's translated as. Yes.
Is in English, is it translated Abba?
No, that's still Hebrew.
It's even if
That's
you say
still Hebrew.
Abba,
Yes,
it's
that's
still
still
the same.
Hebrew. That's
Okay.
not English.
So Ab is the correct word.
This is the root of father. To say Abba, you're basically accentuating. It's another way of saying like daddy. Okay, Abba is like saying daddy. It's a way of saying father in a tender way. Ab is just father.
Just like saying Yahoo. You know how you put the U on the end of the Yah?
It's not quite like that in that instance, because it has to do with the fact that you add an extra letter because you're trying to. It's like the difference between saying dad and daddy.
Okay.
You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, that's the idea.
Okay.
Ab just simply means father in English. But what does this really mean based upon the meanings? Now, you need to get this sheet, your reference sheet, and you need to look at Aleph. So what is the meaning of the word picture, Aleph? What is the meaning of that word picture? What does it say? If you come across, you see where at the top it has the Aleph, that's the first letter. You come across where it says meaning.
You want the meaning? You mean strong?
Okay, yes.
Power and leader.
Okay, so this letter means strong, means strength, power, and leader. That's what this letter means. So what we said in translating Hebrew words is that we have to first of all do what? We have to know the meaning of each letter, right? So right here, this word, or letter rather, it means strong, power, leader. That's what we see right here. Okay. Strong, power, leader, right?
Strong, power.
That's what that letter means.
Okay.
All right? And where do these meanings come from? If you recall earlier, I mentioned that the letter represents a word picture, right? You remember that? The letter represents a word picture. This is a picture of an ox head. So, what do we know about an ox? It's strong. When you hear reference to a person that's strong and has the ability to work hard, they'll say something like, he's strong as an ox.
Yeah.
Right? Because in the ancient time, the animal that reflects great strength and power is the ox. All right? So that's where we get the meaning from. It has to do with the particular quality or function of whatever the image is. Okay? Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah. So that late letter is then.
Which one?
The late letter, the one right here.
Yes. All of the letters in Hebrew, it doesn't matter whether they are modern or whether they are paleo. It all carries the same meaning. Okay? So that's important for us to know. But we obtain the meaning of each letter based upon the function. That's how it works. We look at looks like, and when we look at the image, you have to start to ask, what does this thing do? What are the characteristics of this thing? Well, it's strong, it's powerful, it's a leader. So those are the things that it represents. That's how we derive the meanings from the letters. All right. So it's not abstract. It's not like we create a word and then we attach a meaning to it and say, this word is going to mean this. No, these are pictures. These pictures actually represent character traits and functions of the picture, right? So Hebrew is very easy. It really is. It's very easy.
And once you get it,
because it eliminates the abstractness of having to go memorize the definition of a word that someone created to attach a meaning to. Whereas with Hebrew has to do with looking at the letter, understanding what the function or what the thing does, because Hebrew is an action language. It's all about what you do. Everything is moving. Okay? That's the thing that you have to be mindful of. And being a person from the Western world, it's difficult to make that shift. You have to make that shift. You understand? So this is why I'm saying it over and over again. It really is easy. But if you're already locked into a certain way of thinking and a certain way of doing things, you have to first make a shift and then you get it. It's not hard. Actually, it's easier to learn Hebrew than it is to do English. Honestly, it is. You just have to recognize the letters, know what they mean, and then put it together. It's very simple. Just don't get caught up in the illusion that, oh, I can't get it, it's too hard. No. All right, this letter here, the bait, this right here is a floor plan of a tent. Think of it as though you're looking down upon the tent. Floor plan. You're familiar with floor plans, like floor plans of houses.
Yeah.
Things like that. We cut the roof off of this sanctuary right here, and we look down on each separate section. That's what this would be. This is a floor plan of a tent. Right, so the bait. What is the meaning of this letter?
Vision.
The bait?
Oh, what you talking about?
The bait.
The
Debate. Second letter, that's what this is, debate.
Yes.
Second letter, debate.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's the one you're looking down. Yeah.
What's the meaning?
The main family house.
Exactly. And the word in.
In. Yeah, family house in.
Right.
Okay.
Floor plan of a tent. In the ancient time, most of the people in the Eastern world lived in tents. It is a person's dwelling. It's their house. All right? That's what it is. But also, who lives in the tent? Who lives in the Yeah, people. Lives in the tent. Mm-hmm. So the tent has a function of being the dwelling place of a family, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Now I'm going over this repetitionally because it's going to take some time for you as students to grasp it. It's important that you start thinking about what is the function of this image. What is its purpose? What is it there for? It's a dwelling. People go into it, correct? Mm-hmm. So you have the word in placed there as a part of one of the meanings. People go into it. Family lives in it. It's a house, a dwelling. So these are three words that give a description that provides meaning to this letter. Okay, right? So, all right. So we have house. We have family. Right? And we have in just represents another aspect of what this word means. In other words, like if I was to take this letter here, the bait, right here, and we were to put this in front of a word, and we haven't gotten to that part yet in the grammar, but we will. But if I was to put this letter in front of a word, it would mean in whatever the other word is. Oh, okay. You understand? Yeah. That's how that will be used. But seeing that the bait is used here in a word, we now have the meaning of this letter and this letter. We have strong, power, leader, house, family, okay? So, the Ab is the strong leader or the strong and powerful one of the family, or the strong and powerful leader of the house. You got it? That's the Ab. The strong leader or the strong, powerful one of the house. Does that make sense? You see that? Mm-hmm. We just translated this word, what it means, the literal actual meaning of the word.
Strong, power, leader of the house.
Okay? Now, if you hear the word father in English, we say, oh, okay, it represents the person who is the father of the house. But the word in and of itself carries with it a bit more depth than that. Because what it's doing is describing qualities that the father should have. You see that? Because the father should be what? Strong. The father should be what?
Powerful.
And the father should be what?
A leader.
A leader.
Mm-hmm.
You see that, right? So this word ab means a little bit more than just father. Father is a bit limiting than this word. You can, father someone, make a baby, or you understand what I mean? But ab here, this person has to have some strength. He has to have some leadership abilities over his house, his family. Right? Okay? So when we start looking at the meaning of these words, it gives us a description not only of the person, but also the character of the person, what the person is supposed to be like. Okay? This is a strong one of the house. You know how, like, in the scriptures where it talks about that, if you're going to take the spoils of a person, you have to go first and what? Bind the strong man. Yeah. So the person who is the father, the one who is the overseer of the house, you've got to bind. And so the idea of a person who is a father is a person who has strength and who is a leader of their home. All right? Well, that's what the word means. All right? So let's go to the next word. Let's go to the next word. And I am wanting you all to participate because this is how you're going to learn how to do it yourself. I want you to go through the process. So the next word we're going to look at is bane. All right? Bane. Or ben. All right, now I'm doing this in the paleo. Okay. Here we have this word. What's this letter? We just saw it. What's this letter?
Bet.
Debate. Right. This is debate. You might call it bait, bet. This is debate. It has the B sound. What's this letter? Can you find it on your chart? This letter right here.
Dom.
Nope.
Door.
Nope.
No.
What's the name of the letter?
I'm looking for.
This is the nun. This is the nun. Go down about to the middle of your chart. This is the nun. You'll see something that looks like a little snake almost. Nun.
Okay.
See it? This is the nun. It has the N sound.
Okay.
Okay? This is the nun. This is the bait. This is the nun. So we are at the bait. What is the meaning of the bait?
Family. House.
All right. So this is the house, right? And family. So tell me, what is the meaning of the word nun?
It means seed.
Yes.
Man, I got something on the flash.
Right. It means seed.
Seed.
What else does it mean?
Seed continue, hair,
Air,
and son.
and son, right. So the seed, this is the seed. Seed has a number of meanings. It represents a son. It represents to continue in the sense of continuing a line. It also refers to heir and a son. So when we put the two letters together, the B and the N, how do you say that?
Ben.
Say it again.
Ben.
Ben. Don't be afraid. Just say it. Ben. Yeah, Ben.
Ben.
There's no wrong way of saying it. You have to learn how to pronounce it. So Ben, all right? We have the bait and the nun. Ben. All right? Ben. So Ben means what? We have the meaning of each letter. Now let's put the letters together. What does it mean?
Son.
Meaning of the bait is what? House. Meaning of the nun is seed, heir, and son. So family, you can say family heir or family son or son of the house. Ben means son of the house or seed of the house. Another way of understanding this is when you have the two letters together, even though we know the meanings, you see, it has to do with the idea that you start with the house. Remember, the house has the family in it, all right? And inside of the family, in the house, you have the seed. So this is the seed coming out of the house. It has to do with the idea of a son being produced. Ben. So, for example, when I say that I am Dawid ben Israel, it means that I am Dawid, who is a son or who is the seed from Israel. You got it? That's what this word means. It means son, son of the house, or seed, the seed that comes out of the house. So that, all right? That's the, okay? That's what this word means. So when you use the word Ben, you can't use this word without taking into account that the seed came from somewhere else. Does that make sense?
Seed.
Yeah, the seed came from somewhere else.
Which made the son.
Yeah. It's like there are some people who have the idea that the Father became the Son. I don't hold to that concept because it does not fit with the Hebrew. Yahshua HaMashiach literally came out of the essence of the Father as Kokma, the creative ability and power of Elohim to create everything. And when he's referred to as the Ben, that means that he came out from another substance. Otherwise, he could not be a son. Because Ben means son of the house. That's what this means. All right, does that make sense to everybody? Well, this is how you begin when you're translating words in Hebrew. All right. Let's go to the next word. Is it getting a little easier?
Yeah.
A little.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So The next word that we want to look at is this word that most of us pretty much know about, but we probably haven't really seen it too much as far as the definition of it is concerned. But this word right here, let me go ahead and put this in, is Nabia. All right, I'm going to go ahead and, all right. Bait. Get the yod in here. And we also have the ox head. Okay. So this word right here, and I'm doing this in the paleo. This word we have here in the paleo, we have the nun. We have the bait. Let me fix that up. This is the bait. This is the yod. And this is what? What is this right here?
The ox.
Yep, ox head, the aleph. This is the aleph. The ancient Hebrew would call this the El. All right? It's also called the El. So we have the nun, bait, yod, and the aleph. So, how do you pronounce this? I want you to think about it. We have the N sound. We have the B sound. We have the yod, which gives you a I as a vowel. And we have the A sound, but this is silent right here. In this situation, the aleph is silent. Okay? So how would you pronounce this? Somebody tell me. Come on. Come on, spill it out. No.
No. B.
Ba. E.
Nabi.
Yep. Say it again.
Nabi.
Yes, thank you. Nabi. Because the aleph is silent in this word. This is Nabi.
Nabi.
Nabi. Yep. Nabi. Nabi. Nun, bait, yod, Nabi. All right. Reason why the I is used here is because this is a vowel. Anytime you have a yod in the middle of a word, it's a vowel. We learned that some time ago. Remember? All right. This is Nabi.
Nabi.
Yes, it's Nabi. Now, this word Nabi is translated as prophet. This is word that's translated as prophet. All right?
Yeah, I heard that.
So, what is the meaning of Nabi? So tell me, the nun. Meaning of the nun. We just looked at that in the previous word. Somebody tell me again.
Seed,
right?
Continue, air, sun.
Right. Seed, air, and sun. All right, and the bait. What is the bait?
Family, health, in.
All right. So we just going to put house there. All right. What about the yod? Not yet. What about the yod? What is that?
And
Hand?
hand.
What you say? Is that hand? Right?
Close hand. Hey.
Close hand, no, the yod.
Hand.
Yeah. The yod means
arm.
It's a hand.
And
it means to work, right? The meaning of it.
Oh, okay.
The image.
Hand, work.
Uh-huh.
Work. Worship.
Uh-huh. Worship. Okay. So these are all functions of this arm with the hand that is closed. Okay. And what about the aleph?
Strong,
Mm-hmm.
power, leader.
Okay, so
Good Yahuah.
So how do you get profit out of this, out of Nabi? How do you get that? How do you get the meaning from that? Okay. So what you have to be mindful of is that this word represents a person. It represents the function of a person. So we have the seed in the house that's working. Okay. Seed in the house that's working, producing strength. Seed in the house. So what this has to do, it has to do with the idea that the person that's a Nabi is a carrier of the seed, of the powerful seed at work in them.
Okay.
All right? The Nabi is a person who has the seed inside of the house, and this seed that's inside of the house has a strong and powerful active work going on inside. So it represents the carrier of the seed of power. What is the seed of power? It is the word. When you hear HaMashiach and he talks about the seed being sown, you all remember that parable of the seed being sown? And he explained the parable of the seed that was sown. He said the seed is the word of Elohim, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So a prophet, which is the English word that's used for Nabi, a Nabi is a carrier of the word of power. The word, the seed word that is working, and it is a powerful work. It is a strong, powerful work of the seed inside of the person. Okay? So basically, the Nabi is one who carries the powerful word that works in them. That's the simple way of saying it. Person who is carrier of the seed of power. It's a Nabi. All right? Now you notice that in obtaining the meaning of this word, what we did is we pulled together the meaning of each letter. All right? Because it has to do, first of all, with the seed that's in the house. And these letters give a description of the seed that's in the house. All right? All right. Looks like we have four more words. We'll go ahead and do two more words, and then we're going to wrap it up. But what's going to happen is that as you begin to look at the Hebrew meanings of these words formulating, you're going to see how they have the relationship with the English translation. But what you're going to find is that there's a expanded, deeper meaning than what's presented in the English language. So now let's look at the next word that we have. All right, the next word that we have is going to be, well, I'm going to skip Yom. We're going to look at Boker. This is debate, the Wav, and we have the Kuf, And we also have the resh. All right. And this is in Paleo. Bait, Wav, Kuf, Resh. Bait, Wav, Kuf, Resh. All right. Somebody pronounce this for me. Going across. This Wav has the O sound here in this word as a vowel. Somebody pronounce this. Best you can.
Ra.
Bo-Kur.
Boker.
Boker. Yeah.
Boker.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Whatever the last letter is, you don't want to add another syllable to it. It would just end in er.
Okay.
If you say ra, then that means we have to add another letter.
Okay.
To describe the ah. You got it? It's just Boker. Boker. Hmm? All right. So, with the debate, tell me, what's the meaning of that letter?
Family.
Huh?
The who?
In.
The bait.
Uh-huh.
The bait is family house.
All right. So we're gonna use the house. House is gonna be like the basic definition for the bait.
Okay.
We're gonna use that. What about the wav?
The wav.
Yeah, the wav.
Add.
Uh-huh.
Secure. Add the secure hook.
All right. Right. Add, secure, and hook. Has to do with connection. All right. What about the kuf? The kuf looks kind of like this. I'll make it look like this. It's like a sun on the horizon this way, but this is how it would be presented. What is the meaning of the kuf?
The kuf. It means condensed circle time.
Okay. Now, since it represents the sun on the horizon, that's what that shape of it is. It's like looking out at the sun on the horizon, okay? All right? Now, what about the resh?
Head first, top, beginning.
Okay. All right. All right. So now the head here, it actually represents the head of a person.
That's the way the head.
That's this represents the head of a person.
Okay.
All right. And you have the bait, the wav, the kuf, and the head of a person. This is translated in English as morning. Morning. That's what it's translated as.
Morning.
Mm-hmm. So this is the idea of it. Everything starts from the house here. Okay. See that? Everything starts from the house here. So when you have a word and you have the first letter, you want to think of the first letter is telling you a story. Okay? This right here, the head of a man, where does the man live?
In the house.
In the house, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the man comes out of the house, right?
Yes.
And when the man comes out of the house, he's coming out of the house, looking in a direction, and he is connecting himself with with his vision of the sun on the horizon.
So he's looking up.
All right. When the sun is on the horizon, the sun is coming either up or going down. Okay. In the ancient time, when people came out of the house, they came out of the house to start their day. All right? That makes sense. So the man is coming out of the house to connect with or to see the sun on the horizon coming up. All right? In the culture, because the people, they would get up, they would come out of the house, they did that in the morning. So the idea that it's telling you is that this is the beginning of the day or the morning. Okay. The man is getting up out of the house, connecting with what he sees on the horizon, which is the sun coming up. So this is a description of the morning. Okay? That makes sense to everybody. Okay? It means a person that's coming out of their home, looking at the sunrise come up. That's the morning. Okay? Get the idea?
Yeah.
All right. Last word we're going to do. We're going to do Erev. Erev. We're going to do Erev. Erev is translated as evening, but we want to understand how that meaning is derived, all right? So, we're going to have the Ein, which is an I, the Resh, and we're going to have also the Beit. This is in the Paleo. This is the eye. Looks like an eye. Okay. But in the block script, it looks like a Y. The Ein looks like a lowercase y in the block script Hebrew. Yeah, sure does. Okay, but this is the original Paleo Hebrew. It looks like an I. All right, the Ein, in essence, what it is. It's an I. Tell me the meaning of the Ein. We haven't looked at that yet.
See.
Wow, to see, right?
No. And shade.
Okay, so the Ein, it means to see, to watch, to know, shade. And the picture is an eye, an actual eye. That's what it is. All right? It is an eye. Okay? So it has to do with something you see, something you're looking at. All right? All right, the Resh. Resh is what?
Head.
Right, the head.
First, top, beginning.
It has to do with the head, top. And then the Beit?
Family, house, inn.
Right. So, I want you to look at this. We have the eye, the head of a man, the eye, the head of a man, and the house. Now remember, when you look at the word, you want to look at the first letter, because the first letter is telling you, all right? It's telling you something.
It's seeing something.
So the first letter is the I. So it has to do with looking in a direction somewhere. So then the next letter is the head of a man. So what does the head of a man have?
An eye.
Yes, the head of a man has an eye. So you have an eye with the head of a man. What it's telling you is that the head of a man is looking in a particular direction. Okay? Where's the head of the man looking towards?
The house.
To the house. You see that? Everybody catch that? Eye. Head of a man has an eye. It means that the head of the man is looking towards the house. So the idea that's being conveyed in this word is that a person, because the race represents a person, head of a man represents a person that's looking into the direction of the house. In other words, they're looking to go to their house. All right? In the ancient times, people would get up in the morning, they leave their house, work all day. After their day is done or is coming to its completion, they will begin to do what? Look in the direction of their house. In other words, go home. Right? If you're not at your house, you're going to look and go in the direction of where your house is. Does that make sense?
Yes.
What time of the day is this generally done? Towards the close of the day, right? So this word in the Hebrew is translated in English as evening. You understand?
Yeah.
Because when your work day is done, this is an agricultural people, they work from sun up to sundown, right? So when the sun is about to go down, they're finishing up their work out in the field. They want to go into the tent. So this represents what time of the day? Evening. Close of the day. That's what this represents. When the person looks in the direction of the house. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Rather, the meaning and the idea of these Hebrew words based upon the function of each letter and what it is representing. See, this is an action, right? But this action describes a number of things. It describes the time of the day, okay, which can be summed up in a word in English, but it represents an action because the workday is completed. All right? They're going into their house. Looking, the head is looking in the direction of the house. And this is called Arab. Arab. Arab.
Arab.
And this word also, as a root word, and I want you to catch this also. As a root word, this word also can mean, and I want you to think about this. What happens when the sun starts to go down?
This is sunset.
Yeah, what happens when the sun starts to go down?
Getting dark.
Thank you. It gets dark.
Okay.
This word right here also has the meaning of darkness.
Or night.
There's a different word for night.
Oh, okay.
But the term dark is associated with this word Arab. Another thing this word is associated with as well, when you put it in a different context, how many are familiar with the word Arab? You familiar with the word Arab? You know, like the Arabian people?
Yeah.
These letters is Arab
Arab.
also.
Okay.
And it has the meaning of dark. So there are different shades of meaning with this Hebrew word depending on the context that it's in. You catch that? This word can mean dark because at the end of the day, when a person is going into their house, it gets dark. All right? It also represents evening, but it also represents an Arab person, and it represents also the complexion of an Arab person as well.
Dark.
Because of the meaning of the word with reference to a particular group of people. Arab, same word. So it has different meanings. All right?
A dark Egyptian.
This is the last one that we're looking at today. I trust that this teaching on this particular subject has helped each of you to be able to begin to learn how to translate Hebrew words. I would say it's more of a discovery process. But what you want to do as you are learning the definition of each letter, that you begin to put the meanings of each letter together so that you're able to then construct the basic concept of what that word's root meaning is. And then you'll figure out how to apply that word in different places in the biblical text. When you see it, you'll begin to say, oh, okay, it would mean this in this particular context with this placement in the scripture text.
It can sound.
Yes, it can have the same 3 letters or 4 letters, but the meaning will be slightly different depending on how it's used in a particular passage of scripture. All right. So, any other questions before we close? No other questions?
Oh, I have a question.
All right.
So, is this going to be homework? Do we need to?
The ones that were not looked at, you can do that as homework, but I would definitely suggest that you look at some of the words that you may have in the vocabulary. If you look at some of the sheets that we provided for you, look at some of those words and then begin to start to translate. You may know what the word has been translated into based upon the English word that's given, but practice for yourself. Look up the meanings of each letter and then begin to test just to ensure that the most appropriate word in English was used as a translation. That's what I suggest you do. So you want to get some practice at that.
I think this will probably help me on the lesson when I was telling you I got stuck.
Uh-huh.
I think just following the chart would help me.
Yes. So that's what you want to do.
And we can also translate it into modern Hebrew.
The modern text is the same. It's just a different block script.
Yeah,
but the
that's
meanings
what I'm
are
saying.
exactly the same.
That's what I'm saying. Just writing it down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, the Almighty be praised. We'll close in prayer. Abba Yah, we do thank you for this session that we've been able to cover the translating of Hebrew words. I trust that each of the students have been able to receive tools to help them to be able to look at the text and be able to translate words in the Hebrew on their own. I pray, Abba Yah, that edification has been provided and that the things that have been shared has been beneficial, so that each of the students may be able to go to the text of scripture and be able to translate and understand the text from a more in-depth perspective. We do thank your blessed name for your guidance and your wisdom in all things. We bless you. Amen.
Amen.
Each of you who I just want to say thank you for your participation. We trust that you have been edified and that you have learned something that you did not know, and that you can take the tools that we have communicated on today and be able to learn how to translate Hebrew words on your own, understand why some of the same words that are spelled the same have different shades of meaning. Well, we thank you again, and we do want to invite you to join us in our midweek time of teaching this Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. and also in our next Sabbath gathering, next Shabbat, Saturday, 12:30 p.m. Well, the Most High bless each and every one of you and your families. Shalom.
Shalom.
I forgot that I put it in there.
All that time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's like I'm remembering all over again.
Refreshing the memory.
It's like I never did it before. Because I know we went